What I love is that podcasting isn't just for the big creator, right?
That's right.
It can be for smaller creators, for smaller shows, mid-sized shows. And we're going to have a mix of, within the network too.
Gosh, I'm excited to just work with some incredible women who have these visions and, to your point, are experts in their field, right? And maybe they just don't have the capacity either from a time standpoint or a team standpoint or a production standpoint to really maximize their expertise.
Also, the fun thing that comes with the network too is that we're going to handle that monetization strategy from the ad side of it and working with brands while we also help our creators within their own brand. Welcome to the She Believes She Could podcast. I'm your host, Allison Walsh. Since 2020, this show has inspired thousands of women around the world to believe in themselves and take bold action toward the lives they're meant to live. Each episode brings you powerful conversations and practical strategies to strengthen your mindset, build your confidence and brand, grow your business, and protect your well-being, all while spotlighting stories of women who are making a difference and changing the world in their own way. I am so glad you're here. Now let's get to work. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the She Believes She Could podcast. Okay, today's episode is a very special one. Carolina Flores, co-founder of Hi Hello Labs, and I originally recorded this conversation for our private podcast series, From Podcast to Platform. But here's the thing. It was too good to keep behind closed doors. Truly. I finished uploading this to the series and I thought, nope, this one needs to be heard. So today, we're pulling back the curtain and bringing you into a conversation all about how to grow, scale, and monetize your podcast, even if you're starting with a small audience. Because yes, it is absolutely possible. And honestly, it's often easier when you focus on strategy over size. Carolina and I are breaking down what actually moves the needle, the mistakes that we see creators making, and the opportunities most podcasters don't even realize that they're sitting on. If you've ever wondered, can my show really become something bigger? The answer is yes. And we're helping women unlock that potential every single day inside our new She Believes She Could network. So grab your notebook, get cozy, and let's dive into this powerful conversation. You're going to walk away with clarity, strategy, and a whole lot of momentum. So let's get to work. Well, Carolina, I'm super excited for our conversation today because we know that those that are listening are very tuned in and excited to learn more about what podcasting can do for their journey, their brand, their business, and all of the like. And I know you've got a ton of creators that you work with. So why don't we just start off a little bit about Hi Hello Labs and the creators that you're working with, and we can get into all the success stories and give the audience some tips as we go.
Absolutely. So if you don't know by now, Hi Hello Labs is a premium content creation company. And so what we do here is we take brands, we take entrepreneurs, we take creators, and we build out content that is strategic and that, more importantly, will convert. And so we work with all sorts of creators, small, big, in different industries, mainly in the personal brand space, also in the sports space and finance. And so we get to see a lot of different creators and types and a lot of different people that have different goals of what they're trying to create. And so it's really cool to see that even though there's different industries and personalities and audience sizes, the main vein of creating content that is strategic to convert remains the same, right? That if you are creating content that has a mission and a goal behind it, you will see those results.
Mm-hmm. And I think so many people, start maybe innocently in the podcasting game. I know I'm one of them, right? Like I literally flipped the switch like 2 months into COVID and was like, I need some way to get my message out to the world. But it can easily turn into a hobby and not necessarily a really strategic utilization of time, energy, and resources if you don't take the time and sit out and plan the show and the purpose of the show and how to monetize the show. So can we just dive in a little bit around some of the areas that you've seen creators do this really well?
Yes, absolutely. So I will tell you, some of the creators that we see have so much success in that space are, to your point, the people that do come in with a plan or allow themselves to create a plan, because there are a lot of people that, our ethos here is good people making good content. So they come in and they have this big mission, right? They have this message they want to share with the world. But how we do that is really going to determine the success. And so we've had some creators. I will share one specific example of she's in the personal finance space, and she's in a national award-winning financial advisor, and she wanted to create a community that would help bring women in wealth together. And we decided to come up with a concept for a podcast that would be sort of the anchor for her brand. And so instead of her having these one-on-one conversations with every single woman she's trying to impact, right? We created a space where she could have that conversation on a microphone, and that information, all that value she carries would live on a microphone. And so we started to do that through conversations with other people, but also her as a solo, just doing solo episodes. And to see the growth she's had just even in 1 year of content creation, being consistent, not just in the delivery of the content, but also consistent in the value of the content being provided. We've seen her brand grow exponentially into actual revenue generating brand, right? Not just, I'm excited to teach women about finance, but how is this also going to give you revenue so that you can continue to grow that mission even further? And so that's been really exciting to see her show. I mean, going from really no audience to a top 100 podcast to now, selling courses and memberships and all the different things that it's doing for her, putting her on stages as a paid speaker because of the PR that comes with having a show and being the host of a show and the credibility that brings.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, and I think sometimes creators get started or podcasters get started not necessarily understanding the entire breadth of opportunities that exist for them. Right. And, when I first started, as I mentioned, it was early days of COVID. I needed some way to get my message out to the world because I could no longer go and network, right? And I was looking to make up a deficit in my income. So I was at a corporate job at the time, and the entire executive team took a massive pay cut. Massive, in order to keep the lights on and keep as many people employed during a period of uncertainty that, nobody knew how we were going to kind of make it through. And I recognized that if I could amplify my message and I could speak to people that needed to hear, wanted to hear what it was that I could say and share with them, that was a way that I could bring them into my world. And I never thought that 5 years later, it would look the way that it does now. But I'm so grateful that I bought my mic off of Amazon and I flipped the switch and I figured it out. But the nice part is that, there are studios like Hi Hello Labs and everything that we're doing with the She Believes She Could podcast network, which really comes alongside creators to help them really take advantage of all of the opportunities. And, the woman that you mentioned is a beautiful example, monetizing her community, has the podcast, is getting paid to speak. For me, that also looked like a book deal, right? That ultimately the publisher said, we want to use the same name as your podcast, right? And that was a paid book deal. So that was wonderful. Of course, clients that came in as a result of it, multi-six-figure podcast as far as revenue generation, just in a singular year alone can do so much. And then all the brand deals that come with it too. Right. So, we started working with brands about 18 months into our journey where we were starting to get inquiries that it wasn't just social media posts they wanted mentions on the podcast. I was like, that's cool. I can sell that too. So that was really fun. And then advertisers. So there's just so much that can be done. So what are you looking forward to most as you think about the network?
Gosh, I'm excited to just work with some incredible women who, have these visions and, to your point, are experts in their field, right? And maybe they just don't have the capacity either from a time standpoint or a team standpoint or a production standpoint to really maximize their expertise. And so I'm excited to find these hidden gems that are out there that are ready to elevate their brands, that are ready to elevate their voice, their messaging, and really help them amplify that and create a network of women that, are building together and are going to impact the world with their messaging. So, I'm excited for the impact.
Yeah. Plus, we're creating this high vibe community of women who are crushing it, which I just love. Like, I mean, I love my own show, don't get me wrong, but I get more excited about like turning the spotlight up on other women and helping them to propel their message forward. Like that to me is what's so exciting. And to think about just the quality of individuals, how much fun we're going to have. I mean, we're going to be doing all kinds of things, in-person summits. They'll get early access to VIP luxury pod treats. So tell people what pod treats are if they don't understand the concept yet.
Okay, so we have this super fun thing at High Hello Labs called Pod Treat, and it's essentially where you come in and for depending on how much content you want to create, how many months worth of content you want to create, you come in for 2 to 5 days, and we literally create everything. Photos, promos, your actual episodes, everything you need to launch this into the world. And it's almost like, I'm going to age myself here, but like a slow cooker. Like you set it and forget it. And it's, you get to come in. And what's really cool, the cool thing about a retreat, if you think about like a mastermind retreat or something like that, is that you disconnect everything else and you get to focus on this one thing for 2 to 3 days. And we find that when creators do that, all their energy's there, they're excited about it. They almost like become that persona that they tap into that creator full time for those few days. And then you have this entire team around you taking care of all of the details so that all you have to do is show up. Now imagine that with all your business besties and getting to create with all of them in a beautiful, stunning, luxurious place. That's what we want to do with our luxury pod treats with the She Believes She Could podcast network.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. Like I'm just really excited about creating those experiences because, we all get into this because we love it. And to your point, are experts in our own space and, love what it is that we're doing. However, sometimes it can feel a little isolating as a creator and to know that you're just surrounded by all of these amazing women who are doing incredible things. We can learn from each other as well, but we're also going to be super intentional about exposing them to other opportunities to really grow their show, because I know how frustrating it can be when you're looking at your weekly downloads and it's just crawling, right? You're like, oh, I got 5 more than I did last week. And like, that's not the type of growth we want to see.
Right.
And so, we've worked with great organizations, brands, businesses. And so we're going to be sharing all of those, resources with our network to help them grow their shows too. Because if we can help grow and scale their show, they now have a even more impactful opportunity to monetize their show. And we'll be handling a lot of that for them too, which I'm excited about, because not a lot of people like to ask businesses and brands for money. I have no problem doing that.
None at all. What are they going to say? No?
Exactly. And so, but I think that's also the fun thing that comes with the network too, is that we're going to handle that monetization strategy from the ad side of it and working with brands, while we also help our creators look for other revenue streams within their own podcast, that within their own business, within their own brand. And so our whole thing is grow, scale, and let's do it together and have fun, which I'm very much excited about. And so I know we're going to have a great time doing this. So why don't you share a little bit more about some of the things you're excited about when it comes to working with these creators?
Yeah. So, you mentioned something very interesting, that it sometimes feels so isolating, and how, community does play a big role. And I think there's a lot of spaces where there's a lot of gatekeeping and, let me not share that because that's kind of what's really working for me. And, and what's really cool is that there's room for everyone. And I think we've discovered that here. And so I'm really excited for the collaboration piece, learning from each other, encouraging each other, hyping each other up, and then seeing, hey, this works for me. And how can we maximize or double down, on this strategy for your show and how it makes sense for you. So I'm really excited about the collaboration. We have this, one of our creators in our network here at High Hello Labs, they are just the cutest, but they're sports moms, and they have this show about being moms in sports and youth sports and kind of exploring that whole world, which is, it's a whole world, Allison.
Yes, it is.
And I know you are a dance mom, you know this well. But it's really cool because, they are what others on the outside on paper would call the little creators that could. They don't have a massive following
yet.
But what they do have is a very engaged audience. And it's so cool to see a creator like them creating strategic content with the strategies, behind them and a team behind them, and they're monetizing. I know brands with massive followings on paper that's all smoke and mirrors and are not monetizing, don't have paid sponsorships on their shows. And so a lot of people understand the power of media. They know they should be doing it. They can see almost the big picture, but when they start thinking about the how to and what it's actually going to take to get there, they kind of get really overwhelmed. And the point is, a lot of them, they just want to be in their business. They know this is an important part of their business, but they don't want this to become 100% of their time. And yet they showed up. They trusted the team. And, we have one example of one lady who she was so like, this is for the birds. And her team almost kind of made her do it. Like, no, we have to do this. She started exactly a year ago. And just today we found out that they just hit 1 million views. And what it's doing for their organization is, leaps and bounds in terms of community engagement, memberships, all the things that their organization offers. And now she's like, wait, how do we start another podcast? Because she's seeing the power of strategic media and what that can do, and powerful storytelling, and that you don't have to do it alone. And so that's really exciting. We have another creator as well who came in and in a very boring space, insurance. Who wants to talk about insurance, especially on a podcast? Like, no one's sitting there, listening to insurance. But in her industry, there was a lack of teaching the information in the way that was dynamic and engaging. And so we saw that opportunity, and she was able to come in, start a show on that. And it was so cool to see that within a year as well, they were able to win the top industry, or the top professional award in their industry. They won top podcast in their industry. They landed the largest client that they've ever had in their business in all their years of operation. And so these are life-changing, game-changing things for their businesses and their organizations that happened because they said yes, and happened because they trusted the process. And so I'm really excited to see those creators kind of come out of the woodwork and say, okay, I'll take a chance. I'll invest in myself. I'll take a leap of faith on myself. Because you have it, you are already leading the business. You're already leading the brand. You're already the expert in your space. Why not step into it, and take up space that is you've already earned, right? I think one of the hardest things is earning the credibility. How many people sit behind a mic and have no idea what they're talking about? And I say this all the time. It should infuriate every single expert that there is someone with half your experience, half your expertise, sitting behind the mic, speaking on your behalf.
Yeah, no, you have to own your voice.
Absolutely.
And podcasting gives you that beautiful opportunity to do that. And, I think what's so cool is that you've seen, the people that maybe were hesitant absolutely crush it now.
Yes.
The people that saw, okay, there's a space in the lane, right? And I can run and win the game, literally, in their industry. I've seen it with so many of our clients, within our agency too, of just like, this needs to be, top of funnel, right? New business opportunities, really start to flex the muscle of speaking and presenting and sharing and talking, because they have bigger dreams outside of podcasting. But this is one part of the puzzle. So it's just so cool to be able to see podcasting play such a cool role in the real actualization of potential of people's brands and their businesses. So I love that.
I think that's what's really cool. I'm just excited for, those women to be in a room with other women and then seeing how that works and seeing that collaboration come to life.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just proof of what's possible too. And
yes,
again, it's what I love is that podcasting isn't just for the big creator, right? It can be for smaller creators. It can be for smaller shows, mid-sized shows, larger shows. And we're going to have a mix of that, within the network too. But there's also strength in the community. There's strength in us being able to work with brands and say, listen, like, you're not just going to have access to one creator. Now you have access to 50 creators, or hopefully 100 creators one day, that you can advertise with all of them by working with the network. And so it just gives a a lot more power behind it. And being able to, again, just amplify women's spotlights, build them up, help to increase their platform, increase their impact, build their brands, build their businesses. Like, I am just so excited about the impact that we're going to be able to make by bringing all of these people and all of these resources and all of the relationships that we've already established together and saying, like, here they are, let's run, right? And just being able to curate something really, really incredible.
And the quality that's going to be, I mean, quality is going to be just such a core value of everything we do, right? From production all the way through the women that are going to be in the room, that you are going to be a part of something that is just elevated
in every sense of the word.
In every sense of the word, not just production, not just photography, not just all these different assets or the monetization or the brands we're working with, right? We're going to be working with women who have gone through an application process so that we know that everybody that is a part of this is good. In every sense of the word. They're professionals, they're experts, they're women who care about the mission that they're talking about and their audiences. And so even just to rub off that energy is going to be so exciting to me. We're building the rooms and the tables we want for ourselves.
Exactly, because I couldn't find it a while ago. So, and I think that's the whole point. And that's what I've loved just about the mission of She Believes She Could from the beginning. It really is about creating that community, helping women figure out and find out what's possible for themselves, and then giving them the playbook to make it happen. And again, not gatekeeping. Saying here we, I have no problem figuring things out the hard way. I've done that my whole life. And I figure, for a lot of the years that I was podcasting before I landed at Hi Hello Labs, I was figuring it out, and I feel very grateful for what podcasting did. And, I look back and that was a singular decision that I made for my business, for my brand. And it completely changed the trajectory of my life. Everything changed. And who would have thought me starting a show, a very small show in my kids' playroom with my mic off of Amazon and, figuring it out would turn into this. And I feel like it's such a blessing, and I'm so excited, and I'm thrilled to be doing this with you and just have this opportunity. And I'm excited for everybody that's going to be involved, the creators, the brands, the people that are a part of the communities that our creators are creating as a result of their own shows. So it's really the ripple effect, and I love that. And so I know it's going to be a wonderful experience. And so if you're listening right now and you are super excited about this opportunity, we would love for you to apply for the network. You'll fill out the application. We'll schedule a call. We'll get to know more about you, your show, your goals, how we can support you, and hopefully welcome you into our beautiful community. So thank you so much for joining me for today. I really was looking forward to having this conversation, and I'm just so excited about all of the great things to come.